Now in the next couple of 3 videos, we're going to talk about the various pieces and parts of an XML file. And the first one up that we're going to talk about is the element. Now, what exactly is an element? And make sure you get this distinction here. An element is right here. An element is a complete description of a piece of data, if you want to think of it that way. Now, the element consists of the start tag, the data, and the end tag. Notice the wording I'm using there. This is a tag. This is also a tag. This is the start tag, and this is the end tag. Now, the data inside here, mark in this instance, is the content of this element. Once again, this is the element, this is a tag, and this is the content of the element. That'll come back to you later on in XML when you're trying to program against this stuff. Now, there is something else that you need to know about the tag syntax. It is possible to have empty elements. Now, we don't have any in this, but I just want to show you an example down here in some of the white space, which also points out I can have white space inside my content, and for the most part, sometimes, how you like that? For the most part, sometimes, and that's the XML world. Different parsers may treat it differently, and browsers for sure will treat it differently. They tend to take white space out. Now, if it's in between words like this, it would represent that. But let's talk about empty elements. And again, there's going to be 2 words here when we deal with empty elements. First up, an empty element would be like, if you remember in HTML, a line break. We put it like that in HTML and we leave it alone and it works. That's a problem in XML because there's no closing tag. So in XML we would have to say like that to open it and close it. Now you're saying, when will we use that in XML? We'll use it in XSLT later, but I want you to know about these closing tags now. So that's an empty element. That's an element with no content, and this is where the content would go. We can put a shortcut on this, and XML will allow this, and if we put BR, then the slash, and then close it, that's legal. That's telling the XML parsers, hey, this is the start and the ending tag for this empty element. So elements are what are going to contain our data, and elements can be a lot of different things. This is an element, this is an element, and this is an element, right? Because the husband element contains name and age, and this is actually kind of the marriage between relational and hierarchical data. If this were a database, these might be columns and rows and so forth, but in XML we can maintain it and write it hierarchically here with nesting. So that's elements. Remember, you got elements, tags, content, then you have empty elements.